Hello, I'm Rhydian Hughes from Cymru Driving School in beautiful North Wales. Don't forget that. Whether you're learning to drive in a manual car or finishing up your lessons ready for the test, today we're going to look at a super useful skill. Safely entering and exiting the three main lay-bys around Bala. The Frongoch lay-by, the A494 Bala Lake lay-by, and also the Llangynog Road lay-by. During your driving test, your examiner will take you to either one of these lay-bys, and therefore it is important for you to know exactly what it is you need to do in order to not get a fault while dealing with them. Your examiner will be looking to check whether you're doing your mirror checks, signalling, gear control, clutch and brake control, and managing traffic flow correctly while entering and exiting the lay-by safely into traffic. We'll keep it fun, clear and practical, so let's jump in. Now before we begin, a quick safety word. This video is for instructional purposes only. Always learn under the supervision of a qualified approved driver instructor and in a properly insured learner vehicle with dual controls if required. As per DVSA's national standard for driver and riders training, the instructor must ensure the vehicle is legal, properly maintained and safe for training. Ensure that you obey all the relevant road laws, traffic signs, speed limits and conditions. Learner drivers must display the correct L or here in Wales the D plate and be accompanied by a qualified driver instructor. Right then, with safety in mind, let's set the scene.
So we're going to have a look at three lay-bys. One is a lay-by which is by Llyn Tegid. We've also got another lay-by which is going to be on the Llangynog Road. And we're also going to be looking at the Frongoch lay-by. All three are unique and mastering all three will get you through your driving test. As you approach the lay-by, in this case the Llyn Tegid lay-by, begin scanning ahead, mid-distance and rear view mirror. Under the Highway Code Rule 117, you must brake early and lightly in normal circumstances. Reduce speed gradually so you're prepared to turn off safely. Use your clutch control as you slow down and you'll come down the gears by selecting second or first depending on your speed. Now here's another footage of the approach towards the lay-by, and as we approach we scan ahead, we do the mirror, signal, slow the car down, and as we slow down change into second gear and then we turn into the lay-by and we're keeping ourselves positioned to the left. Always remember to position to the left whenever you enter any type of lay-by. Okay then, so as I enter the lay-by I avoid this vehicle, so I give myself plenty of room and then I take myself back to the left. Again, we've got to make sure we position to the left and we approach nice and slowly in first gear. Now at the end of this junction we're going to be turning to the right. I'm checking my right and I'm checking my left, and it's very difficult to see whether it's clear on the left to proceed or not. So I would always take the view of always stopping still and having a good adequate check before proceeding to the right. Now here's another footage of me approaching the end of the lay-by to exit the lay-by. I'm keeping myself well to the left, and as you can see, as I get to the end, I'm fully locking the wheel to the right. Now I'm checking the right, checking the left, and as you can see, it is very difficult to see on the left whether it's clear or not to go. And therefore, we have to make sure that we scan adequately before we make the commitment to go or not. Now I'm checking both directions, making sure that it's clear, moving off in first gear, and I keep on checking, and then I would do a mirror check as I'm continuing to follow the road along. So as you can see, it's very difficult to see on the left over here. So that's why we really stop and we have a good look before we continue. We never ever just go out of these lay-bys. We've got to stop and check and also make sure that you're using the correct gear to exit the lay-by. Now in this example, I'm approaching the Llangynog Layby, and I'm doing the same thing again. I'm scanning well ahead. I can see the lay-by on my right, so I start to do my mirror check. I signal to the right, and I slow the car down. And in this particular lay-by, I'm going to change it into first gear because as we can see, it is a really tight turning and first gear is very appropriate for it. Here's another example of the same turning, but this time from the ground. As you can see, I go really slow, and this is why we do it in first gear, because it's very uneven, it's very muddy, and we need to be able to have good control of the vehicle. Now, as I'm approaching the exit at a nice slow pace in first gear, I'm starting to check over my right shoulder, and I'm checking to the left as well to see if it's clear. It's always a good idea to check over your right shoulder as you're approaching the end of the road, because if it's clear, it's okay for us to continue to exit without needing to stop. Now we're going to be approaching the Frongoch Layby, and when you approach Frongoch, one of the things you need to remember, the speed limit of the road does change from a national to a 40 miles per hour speed limit. So don't forget, it's a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit in Frongoch. Right, so as I'm driving along over here, I'm scanning far ahead to locate the lay-by, and I can locate the lay-by because there will be a Welsh and an Irish flag in the lay-by. Now, I keep an eye on that vehicle, making sure that there's no pedestrians stepping onto the road. And then as far back as here, I do my mirrors, and then I signal and I slow the car. And I slow the car down to make the turning easy for myself. I check my mirrors again, changing it into second gear. You can do this in second gear, but I like to do it in first gear so that I can keep myself well to the left as I approach inside the lay-by. Now, here's another view of the approach from the ground, and as you can see, the road is pretty straight, and this is why it's so easy to break the speed limit sometimes. I can see the Welsh and the Irish flag on the left, so I do my mirror signal, slow the car down and change it into second gear here, slow the car down even more so, and then change into first gear while turning it to the left. Now look, where am I positioned? I'm positioned well to the left, and this is a very important thing to remember because the entry point is also an exit point, so we've got to keep it to the left. I continue to follow the road along. Now, this is an open junction, an open lay-by, I suppose you could say. So as I'm approaching this lay-by, I'm checking over my right shoulder and I'm checking my left to see whether it's clear for me to go. And if it is clear for me to go, I can carry on without needing to stop. But in this example, I can see there's vehicles coming from the right, and I can see that there are vehicles coming from the left. So here's another example of the same approach inside the lay-by, and as you can see, I am checking over my right shoulder, and you can see quite clearly, I can see well far to the left, and I can also see well far to the right. So this is what we would call an open lay-by, and you know, if it was clear without any traffic, it would have been okay for me just to continue without stopping. So I am going to stop, and as you can see, I am positioned to the left. I'm keeping a gap on the right side of the exit point because vehicles can enter from that point as well. Always position yourself to the left. Once it's clear, I drive along, do another mirror check as I'm accelerating towards Bala. Easy.
So if you're a learner driver in Wales or anywhere, particularly Bala, why not book a dedicated session with us, Banana Cymru, to practice how to enter and exit the lay-bys that you could be taken on during your driving test. And it's important to get good practical practice. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the notification bell so you don't miss our next tutorial. And please leave us a comment below. We'd love to hear your suggestions. Give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful, and share it with someone else who's got a driving test coming up in Bala soon. It really helps us to reach more learners and helps you too by building your knowledge before you do your next driving lesson or your driving test. Thanks for watching and thanks for choosing Car Banana Cymru Driving School. Remember, safe doesn't mean slow, it just means being observant, consistent and confident. Hwyl fawr, go bananas.